Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Slamhub Wrestling. Myself Suprit, and this is our brand new show called the Main Roster Talk, where we'll be covering both Raw and SmackDown in just one podcast. And for this brand new show, I got a new guest here on the channel, Ridwan, all the way from Kuwait. What's up, Ridwan?
Hi Suprit. Hello everyone. This is Ridwan here with you, all the way from Kuwait.
So, what's up, Ridwan? What have you been up to lately?
Lately, like life has been pretty okay to me. So I live here in Kuwait, and yeah, otherwise, and currently, like Kuwait is having its own National and Liberation Day holidays.
So let's talk some wrestling, shall we? We had Elimination Chamber this week, and we will talk about Monday Night Raw and SmackDown. But before that, if you are new to this channel, then make sure to hit that subscribe button. Make sure to like this video, do all that fun stuff. Check out our previous contents, like we had a AEW Dynamite review this week, and we discussed everything regarding the signing of Paul White, also known as the Big Show. We also had an Elimination Chamber review with Ishan Chauhan. Also, make sure to check that out. So, what did you think about Elimination Chamber pay-per-view? How did you feel about the outcome regarding both World Championship scenarios?
Start it off, I would say it was a very eventful week of WWE wrestling, and Elimination Chamber. It was a really good show, according to me, because it was like short. It was, I think, around what, 2.5 hours? Pretty much, yeah. And there were like four matches only, so it was a breeze to get through, to be honest with you. And the matches, all in all, in itself was, all matches delivered except for one, which was the tag team match. And to be honest, I wasn't expecting much from it. But the other three matches delivered, like, for the US title match, exceeded my expectations. And to start off with the Universal Championship match, I mean, wow, what a great match it was. Like from start to finish, like there were a lot of stories that were intertwining a little bit. So you had like competitors were Bryan, Cesaro, Owens, Zayn, Corbin, and Jey Uso. So every story played its part, and it delivered in some form or fashion. And the match that followed, the chamber match, it played its role in a way that the story, like it fits the story as well of what how Roman is, as a character. And from one world championship to another, the WWE championship match, it was also a great match, but it didn't live up to the SmackDown one, to be fair, because like it was it was great. Like, the right person won, especially given what we know now, like what followed after that with the Lashley attack and the Miz cash in. And like I said, like all stories played its part and everything delivered. So in that case, a big thumbs up from me.
So let's talk about the Monday Night Raw following Chamber here. So it
Yes.
was somewhat of a decent show because the main intrigue was regarding Miz as WWE champion. And
Yes.
what did you think about Raw this week overall?
Overall, I mean, to be honest with you, Raw, as we agree that, it's a little bit of a chore to get through because of its, first of all, its its length, second of all, its stories, and, whatever character it has. But like you said, the main intrigue was about Miz as WWE champion. How, how in the 3 hours of Raw, how do you write the new WWE champion? So what I would first of all, I want to ask you this: like, what are your honest thoughts about Miz as WWE champion?
What can I say? I didn't mind Miz as WWE champion, but the timing was wrong. I also said it on my review, and even my partner that we discussed, Ishan Chauhan, he also said the same thing that Miz should have been WWE champion during the 2016-17. when he was hot during that IC title reign. That was a perfect time for Miz to become WWE champion. But anyways, they finally did it in 2021, and I'm not actually uh, into the decision that they put the WWE title on Miz during WrestleMania season, and they have overcomplicated everything regarding the title picture. So those are my thoughts on this whole situation.
I am in agreement with you in this case because I feel Miz got the championship a few years too late. I would say maybe 2, 3 years because 2018 was the perfect time to make him like the top heel or maybe the top baby face if they were going with Daniel Bryan as heel. So it would have been better if that feud had a championship at stake, but it was a personal feud, so I didn't mind it as much at that time. But having said that, yes, it is a few years too late, and especially at this time when you're on the road to WrestleMania and you have overcomplicated things. In that case, I would say yes as well. But let's see, I'm first of all, like I'm genuinely happy for him, even if it's a few years late, as we said. But let's see, how the entire story, how it unfolds later down the line. And as Mrs. Champion is like something I wanted for a while, and let's enjoy for what it is what I feel about it.
So let's talk about it. So they had Miz and Bobby Lashley confronting. So Lashley wanted a title shot from Miz because of the deal they made with Miz cashing in at Elimination Chamber. So what happened was Miz wasn't ready to give Lashley the title shot. So what Lashley did was he gave him an ultimatum and gave him an hour to make this decision. So we saw the involvement of Adam Pearce, Shane McMahon, Braun Strowman. So Strowman says that he's clarified, not qualified, clarified to get this
Yes.
title shot. So they booked Lashley versus Strowman in the main event. So the stipulation was if Strowman wins, he gets added to the Lashley versus Miz title match next week. But Lashley wins clean here, so this will be a one-on-one Miz versus Lashley on Raw next week. Thoughts on this? Do you think Lashley will be winning the WWE Championship? Because I have a different theory on this.
I would, I don't know how, like, will Lashley win or not because he's been booked super strong heading into this match. So to start off with this promo, like it was a good promo, of course. Like Miz is very good on the mic, as we all know, and whatever he said, like what he went through all these years, how people thought he'd be fired in few months, and then going on to achieve what he has in itself is inspirational. But having said that, again, like, whatever Mrs. Promo was, and then the Hurt Business comes and interrupts him. It's like there is a lot of business going on, right? And there was this one line by Bobby Lashley when he said, like, we had a debt, you had a debt, and we came here to collect. That was, I mean, as a cynical wrestling fan, as usual, it was like a good callback to when he was with Leo Rush, don't you think?
Yes, that was a nice callback. And even Leoros tweeted about this, I think.
Yeah, he did. So, like, Lashley gives Miz an ultimatum for an hour, like, make your decision or else I'll destroy you. And like for what it was like for an hour because people usually give it like at the end of the show to think about it, and it's like a very small thing, but it kind of fits Lashley's character because again, like he's all about destroying people and getting to the promo 1 hour later, and then Miz was it Miz was like, okay, shouldn't I? And then Adam Pearce comes in, and then Braun Strowman comes in for to clarify the word. Braun seems like an angry toddler at this point. He's just like, I want this, I want that, and then he starts crying about it. I haven't been a fan of his recent heel turn, but like if you had told me this, like if you had taken a step back to like 3, 4 years ago, that time Strowman was hot, and at that time I feel he should have gotten better, but now it feels too late, like similar to how Miz. But again, like Braun like complaining about it, and then Shane interrupting, which is according to rumors that they are setting up Braun versus Shane at WrestleMania.
I
I
actually
don't.
don't I actually don't mind that match at Mania, but give us a decent story. But seeing the match quality, it will be somewhat entertaining because it's Shane McMahon. He could do
Yes,
some crazy stuff.
yes. I feel the reason they are booking this match is because hopefully Braun throws him off the pirate ship or something. Maybe that's what they have in mind. I don't know. I'm just making this up, of course. But yeah, even I don't mind this match as much. But you need to know why you're having this match, because ever since Braun has come back from Rumble, I guess, since then he's been like, just talk to Shane, screw Shane. And then we head to the match of Braun versus Bobby, which was, I mean, it served its purpose because just it was to make Lashley look super damn strong. And for a year, he's been booked to, I don't want to say perfection, but he's been booked like an absolute beast. And if heading into this match with Miz next week, I feel, I mean, should if I can say what feel is going to happen. I personally think that it's going to end in a DQ. Drew will interfere and cost Lashley the match, and if at Fastlane it's going to be a triple threat match because like there's like a lot of business reasons to it according to me. But like you said, you have an interesting theory on it. So what do you feel about this?
That was the same thing I was going to say, dude.
Glad we connect on this part.
But I
So
will be actually shocked if they give the title to Lashley because the way you said it, it seems like the typical WWE thing to do, right? If they
yes,
don't do that, then I will be shocked if they give Lashley the title. But
yes,
anyways, if that happens, you said the triple threat at Fastlane, then obviously Lashley is winning.
yes. It's like as the theory that what we agreed on. I mean, it's called a fuck finish. So it's likely going to happen. And the business reason that I was referring to is because Miz is kind of a star on USA Network, and they have this deal with Peacock, I believe, which are parent company. How's it like? They are, yeah, NBC Universal. Okay, so the Fastlane pay-per-view is streaming on Peacock as well as it's on WWE Network. Is that correct?
That's absolutely right.
So Miz being the star on the network, heading into the WWE, heading as WWE champion into the show. So I think that's going to make a lot of business sense in that case. But let's see how it pans out. So yeah, that's these are my thoughts on this whole story.
But it seems little unfair to Lashley. See, if he wins the WWE Championship at Fastlane, then they will automatically book who? McIntyre versus Lashley at Mania. And if that's the case, we know who's going over there. McIntyre will be winning.
That's for true.
In that case, Lashley will be only be getting a 2 week title reign, which seems little unfair because, like you said multiple times here, he has been booked great since last year, and the way he has been booked, he deserves at least a 3 month title reign, not
Oh,
a
for
2 week
sure.
title reign like this.
For sure, I feel he deserves, like, he has come a long way in terms of WWE booking. Like what he was at the start when he returned to now, uh there's like a huge difference. I was trying to look for a proverb in this case, which I failed at, so sorry about that. But yeah, he deserves a long reign, and we know, like, if it's happening according to the plan in inverted commas, if McIntyre is winning, because that's the rumor, right? Because like fans are attending WrestleMania in parts.
That literally makes no sense. Like, why would you take the title of him in the first place then? You could have
Exactly.
they could have done this like this as I will say this, they messed up during the Randy Orton feud. He shouldn't have lost the title then. You could
Yes.
have him given him a year-long title reign. You could have him defend at WrestleMania and then lose to someone like Bobby Lashley in a B plus pay-per-view or D plus pay-per-view.
I agree with you on this part.
This doesn't make any sense. You are overcomplicated things with this.
Yes.
Let's move on to the next topic here. Speaking about Lashley, the guy who took the United States Championship from him, Matt Riddle. So he was in a match with John Morrison here. Really good TV match. And I mentioned this on the Elimination Chamber review that Riddle could be a great workhorse champion if he puts on matches like this. What do you think about this, Ridwan?
He's just Riddle now. We don't know who Matt is.
I will call him Matt Riddle. Like
Yeah.
I will call King Corbin Baron Corbin because he's not a king.
Yes, I would call him Baron as well. Hypocrisy on my part, so I apologize for that. So, Riddle, like you said, a workhorse champion definitely fits his bill right now because you're building him up to the main event spot, and he isn't there yet, or and he'll take time to to elevate himself. Only if he doesn't meddle himself in any controversy or outside the ring. But having said that, this match was, I would say, it was the best match of the night easily because both are supremely good workers. Riddle with his legitimate background and Morrison for his acrobatic style. They meshed really well together, and yeah, it was a very entertaining match. And if correct me if I'm wrong on this, but there were reports that John Morrison was injured during this match. Is it so?
Uh, I'm afraid I didn't check anything regarding that situation.
So it seems like he has a knee injury from this match, but it's okay. Like, hopefully, if he is injured, then hope that he recovers soon because his run lately on TV has been pretty solid in its own right. But for the match itself was great. I mean, I've said it earlier. So yeah, they're building Riddle towards something big, and as a workhorse champion, he's going to excel in this role, I would say. But again, that in itself will take a little bit of time. So interested to see where that goes.
So from that, we get to the low points of the show. And forgive me if I miss something here. So we have New Day beating Mace and T-Bar of the Retribution. So post-match, Mustafa Ali is mad at all of them. So hopefully teasing a possible split. So, anyways, they are building to a big match between Kofi Kingston and Mustafa Ali, and I think it will be better if they do it at WrestleMania because there is story. But to get to there, this is their lazy creativity. Like we have seen a lot of New Day versus Retribution matches since a month or so, I think. And if it was me, you could have easily booked Xavier Woods versus Reckoning. That would be creative.
Something different.
Yes.
This match, I mean, match in itself was whatever types because and all of them are genuinely good workers. Like Mace has improved a lot in his short time, I would say, in the ring. But he still has another long way to go. But apart from that, like this match, you know, it was it was okay for what it was, and they're trying to split retribution, like you said.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I hope they disband or something because all of them in this table they deserve better. Like even Mustafa Ali in the promo, like you want to call it a promo or something. Like after the match, he's like, "How much do I have to deal with this crap?" It's like life imitates art at this point. And yeah, if they're building towards Ali versus Kofi at hope, like you said, I agree with you on this part. Like you've said that it should be at WrestleMania. Again, the story writes itself. And if they do it at Fastlane or whatever, I would be disappointed. I was seriously hoping, like, just stretching back a little, like I was hoping Ali attacked Kofi and inserted himself into the match. Like it would have been a little bit of a full circle in some form of fashion. But if they are building this feud, hopefully it's at Mania and not Fastlane. So again, I agree with you on this.
Another tag team match here: Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin. So they beat Lucha House Party in a tornado tag team match this week. I think this is the second or third time, or maybe the fourth time that we have seen the same match. No creativity here. How could they? They don't even have a tag team division on Raw.
And the tag teams, some like it's a disease within WWE itself on the main roster that most of the tag teams are thrown together, and the ones that actually exist and have some decent form of chemistry is broken off. Like last year there were multiple tag teams that were broken off for no for some dumb reason or another, which irks me a little because I personally am a huge fan of tag wrestling. It's been one of the reasons I got hooked into a proper what made me a wrestling fan initially. So it hurts, it pains to it, I should say it hurts because it fits with what we are saying about this thing. The hurt business is involved. And yeah, like you said, this match has been like I read a stat. It was fifth. It was the fifth time they were fighting in 6 weeks. The Lucha House Party versus the Hurt Business. But the only difference was it was a tornado tag match. It was like this match was fine, but the more they've done it, the boring it has become. And there's nothing new. What else could they do at this point? And like you said, there is no tag division on Raw. Who else is there to challenge the Hurt Business for the championship?
Oh,
It's
who are you gonna
dire.
do? T-Bar and Mace? That
Nah.
doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I mean they themselves have their own internal problems. So it's only New Day at this point, if you think about it, who are a legit tag team who could challenge. And that also we've seen 5, 6 times heading into or after TLC when the Hurt Business won the championship.
Or if WWE have a problem with booking tag team matches, tag team, the entire tag team division, how about you merge both Raw and SmackDown divisions like you did with the women's?
It works, but I mean, I for me it's weird because again the brand split, even if it exists, it's only there in name and fashion. So for me as brand split, it's going to irk me a little, but at this point it's showing mercy to an already dying division. So if they do that, good. If they don't, let's you know whatever types.
That's everything. You can do that. Merge the division. That's the only hope you got to save tag team wrestling in WWE.
Yes. On the other hand, NXT has a pretty decent tag division in itself. So if you look at that and if you look at what it is on the main roster, it's weird. It's the same company doing it, by the way.
Anyways, we have Damien Priest beating Angel Garza. Obviously, Damien Priest has been getting a big push. Somewhat you can credit Bad Bunny for that. And by the way, what do you think about this Bad Bunny and Damien Priest pairing?
For Damien Priest, it works because again, there's a mainstream star who's endorsing you, and so far, he's done all things right, whatever is asked for him, and he has everything, not everything, but he has a lot of things that the higher brass would like. Like he's got the size, athleticism, move set, and he's got a little bit of charisma and his voice. He has a best voice for a pro wrestler, according to me. And that this pairing itself is, I mean, it works for both of these guys because it gives a reason for Bad Bunny on Raw. It gives a reason for Damien Priest as an endorsement. And yeah, it's working for me. I'm really liking whatever they've done with Priest. So hoping there are bigger things for him. But there is like a little bit of, I don't want to say controversy, but there are, as usual, like there is no unanimous opinion in the pro wrestling fandom. So what do you think of, Bad Bunny being on TV in a wrestling capacity, sort of, and what are your honest thoughts on Bad Bunny, basically, in wrestling?
I think I would say this for any celebrity nowadays that shows up at a wrestling event, either WWE or AEW. So AEW is doing it with Shaq. They previously had Mike Tyson. Okay, I think those type of stunts doesn't work these days, and the only legitimate time a outsider came in a WWE or any wrestling capacity and made a huge impact in mainstream and all was Mike Tyson.
Yes. You could actually count Ronda Rousey as well to an extent in that case.
Mm, to some extent, but Mike Tyson is up there. Like he is the
Yeah.
only guy uh, that was huge at the time, and nowadays it doesn't work. Maybe for some days, maybe for few weeks, and after they are gone, then it's back to being normal. And I think the same thing will happen with Bad Bunny here. Like how long will he last? Until Mania, and after Mania is gone, then what? What will happen to Damien Priest's push? Will it be the same, or will the higher ups just give up on it?
That's the case with many NXT call-ups, so he'll just suffer the NXT treatment. I don't know what's going to happen. But personally, like this whole Bad Bunny thing, it's giving them mainstream appeal, so good on them on that part. And Bad Bunny being a fan of wrestling, in that case, it's good to see. But otherwise, I could care less, like, in a broader spectrum about it. But in that case, I would say like, it's going on, so let it be. That's all I have to say on this.
Someone said this is just a band-aid, temporary solution.
Pretty much.
So up next we had a promo segment from our who's this guy, Randy Orton. So he talks about the Fiend, Alexa Bliss, and how both of them have made his life a living hell. Then he starts coughing black goo. I don't know what that was.
Papa Shango.
So what is that?
It was a thing in the 80s or something, like Ultimate Warrior and Papa Shango had this thing where Ultimate Warrior was, coughing out this black goop. This
Actually,
was
that
weird.
wasn't black goo. It was actually he regurgitated something.
This was bad. Like, I could care less about this feud. I mean, it's going to get me a lot of hate online, I would say, but I am not a fan of the Fiend. Like, I don't like it suspends disbelief, yes. And he's done like his first year in this gimmick was pretty good. So good on that. Like, Bray revitalized his career. But now at this point, I'm like, I never cared about Bray Wyatt as the backward cult hero. Even now, it's like I don't really care for him, but this feud is doing absolutely nothing for me. And this is something coming from a fan like Randy Orton is one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. And even with that in mind, like, try to digest this feud, it's going like it's all over the place. It's spooky, it's supernatural, and that's something where I am not, I don't want to say I'm not a fan, but I could care less about it, for the lack of a better term.
So you don't like the Fiend character.
Like, I don't like the Fiend character, but it's like, it's there. The match that he had with John Cena at WrestleMania, that was superb. It was done so well.
That
But
was not
since
even a match. Come on.
Yeah, it wasn't. but let's count it, right? It was a part of the show still. Like it was a good segment, okay, since we're correcting. Like it was great. And that was like, like a lot of creative exploits from the Fiend. That was great. But since then, like, he after that he had a feud with, I guess, Brown. That was meh. The Swarm fight was trash. And then the whole Strowman, going bald and evil, that's also bad. And now he's with Alexa Bliss. That is also, it's fine, but I personally could care less about it.
Now that you mentioned this about the Fiend character, I got some news on the Fiend. So we are recently what is this? What was I going to say? Yes. So they revealed the latest Wrestling Observer newsletter for 2020. So obviously these winners are decided by their subscribers of the newsletter. So you could
Yes.
expect some biasness. So there were two categories that people were mad at and they didn't like the winners here. So the first one was gimmick of the year, sorry, worst gimmick of the year, and it went to the Fiend.
What a 180, because last year, like, by the same subscribers, he won the best gimmick last year, and now the worst gimmick. Crazy how
Funny,
life works.
funny thing is, there is also the category for best gimmick of the year, and he was ranked number fourth or number eight.
Really?
Yes,
Sweet. Wow, that's that's weird and hilarious. It's I don't know. It's so weird, this whole thing. And what do you okay? What's deviating the topic a little bit? What are your thoughts on this whole Wrestling Observer Awards thing?
Um, according to me, personally I respect Mercer for what he has done over the years, and he has a certain respect in the journalism thing, because this is the guy that created such thing, and that's the reason why guys like us are coming here on YouTube and covering wrestling.
Yes.
But there is certain biasness, like I mentioned, like he sometimes favors a lot of AEW or New Japan, and sometimes he doesn't want to talk about the positives in WWE. So be it. That's my opinion on Meltzer, and even I will say the same thing regarding the Wrestling Observer awards. Like it's his subscribers, there is certain biasness there. Like it's same mentality like what Meltzer possesses. So nothing big of a deal here.
Cult of Meltzer.
You can say that, but I've seen all the awards that were given here. There are some legit and some of 2 3 year like this situation there were some bullshit like AEW won the promotion of the year, well deserved, because they were the legit company that were putting on some great content. WWE may have come second or third, I don't know.
Yeah, I would say, for me, like you said, I have a huge respect for Meltzer as well. But whatever he says, his fans are going to believe him and they'll vote for what they are, like whatever he gives out. So in that case, yes, there is like a certain level of biasness to it. But even for the award's sake, like, some of the awards are well deserved, some of them aren't. But again, it's one man's opinion, and I don't understand why everybody has like a crazy fit about everything that he says. Like, even if, for example, uh there is a Johnny Gargano match, he gives like a 4.75 out of 5, and people are like, why didn't he give that extra quarter star? I'm like, it's his opinion. If he liked it, it's like he's well within his right to like what he likes and not, and so are you. So why are you complaining about it?
Healthy criticism is always welcome.
Yes.
So what we were originally talking about was the Fiend. So they are doing all this to hype up the return of the Fiend, and we will eventually be getting yet another, like last year we had this funhouse match, and I think they will be doing the same thing with Randy Orton. Mutual feelings here. I also not interested in this whole storyline they have been doing. At least I will give Alexa Bliss the benefit of the doubt. Like, she is doing great work with that character she has been given.
Play or pain, is it? Is it
Hmm?
is it what play or pain, right? Just like how Bray Wyatt has hurt or heal.
I don't know, man. I'm not that much into the storyline. Whatever it
Yeah.
be, play or pain, whatever. Let's get into the next topic here. It was Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, so they beat Charlotte Flair and Asuka. Take a wild guess here who took the pin.
Asuka.
Why not? Because Charlotte Flair is the queen.
Asuka is the
So,
champion. You're still jabroning her out every week, which is bad.
come on, man. Charlotte Flair is the queen. She is the greatest women's wrestler in WWE.
I am like in some form of agreement on that. Like I am a huge fan of Charlotte Flair, but whatever they're doing, like around her itself is very bleh. Like 2 years ago when they shortchanged Asuka to give Charlotte the women's championship just so they could make a double championship main event. Like Asuka, like around Charlotte Flair, Asuka is always like I said, jabroned out because she feels like a non-entity around her.
And sadly, they are continuing the same trend in 2021 too.
Yes, they'll never learn, sadly.
So let's talk about this match. The one scary spot was, of course, Baszler kicking Asuka in the mouth, which led to Asuka losing a tooth in the process, I guess.
Yes.
So we had a post-match segment with Charlotte and Asuka. So Charlotte wanted to help Asuka, but Asuka wasn't interested. There is somewhat of a tease. They Asuka heel turn for you. I would rather see Charlotte as a heel, not Asuka, because I can't buy Charlotte as a babyface anymore.
Charlotte was, I mean, for what they showed, Charlotte was the one with the heel tendencies here. What are you trying to book? Like Asuka, even if you're going into like, for me, I'm just saying something in kayfabe. So Charlotte, Asuka was well within her right to, be pissed off about Charlotte, like not helping her and then offering a handshake, try to do a make good of or whatever you wanna call it. But yeah, it's so weird, man, watching this. And Charlotte as a baby face, like you said, you can't buy it anymore. The only time she was actually, she was genuinely a good baby face was during her time as SmackDown Women's Champion, heading into the feud with Asuka in WrestleMania 34. At that time, she was a great baby face at that time. But then, like even after that, the rise of Becky Lynch happened, and then we like everybody started saying like, oh, Charlotte's bad and stuff. I think Charlotte's great in the ring, but as a character, she's been stale for so long, both as a heel and as a face. Even though she does the heel part really well, but I don't know what are they going to do with the women's championship. And yeah, just I just don't have any more thoughts about what's going to happen. Like it's another part where they've done enough to make me care less instead of actually care more.
So what they did was, after that we see Charlotte in a segment with Ric Flair. So they tried to get some sympathy on Charlotte. I don't know why, but this was, I guess, to end the whole Lacey Evans angle.
Oh man, that was another clusterfuck. I'm glad we are out of it, like when legitimate reasons had to intervene. But like, why did you do it in the first place? Is like nothing makes sense now, you know? So bad.
So from that we have a Sheamus versus Jeff Hardy match. I don't know why this match is happening, because we have seen this multiple times last year only. So Sheamus wins here. By the way, didn't Sheamus pin Drew McIntyre last week?
Yes, for the final spot in the chamber, right? Like for entering last.
So where does this guy fit in this whole situation? Weren't they teasing McIntyre versus Sheamus in a singles match?
If I would say if Drew was still champion, they would have done it. But it's not a Mania match to me, to be honest with you. Sheamus versus Drew. But again, where does like this whole Miz, Lashley, and McIntyre angle, where it really leaves Sheamus in a dark place in terms of booking. So I don't know what do you do from here.
That's what I said. This is not intriguing. This is very confusing.
Overcomplication, like you said
Yes.
earlier.
Let's quickly get through Raw because we have to cover SmackDown. One thing to mention was from Raw, AJ Styles beat Ricochet again. It's one thing Ricochet is on TV every week, but can't you get just one win for this guy? Like at this point, this guy is completely booked like a jobber.
He is pretty much a jobber at this point. Since last year, that whole Saudi match happened with Brock Lesnar, and the very next week he was on main event. So that really tells you all you need to know about how bad Ricochet has fallen. But this match was pretty decent. Again, like we've seen better matches from both these guys, and I feel the whole thing about this match was, the whole post-match beatdown where almost just chucked him and just threw him down. That was impressive.
By the way, what do you feel about this AJ Styles almost dynamic?
I don't really know what's like why did they do it because AJ Styles as a character, as a wrestler, the last thing he needs is a bodyguard. But if it's serving its purpose to to help almost get the TV experience, in that case it's been fine so far. But personally, I think AJ was better off alone than having someone watch his back.
So I think I shouldn't be adding a lot regarding this AJ Styles almost pairing because if I had to say something, then they gave you a reason to care about AJ Styles, but we all care about AJ Styles, but he is somewhat of a guy that you can put him in any situation.
Yes.
So from Raw, we get to SmackDown. Let's quickly get this over with. It was a
We
very
actually
decent.
forgot one match actually on Raw, but it was the Naomi and Lana versus Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke. It was again it
Was
was
that
to
was this was that a 5-star match?
no.
Ah,
It helped Naomi and Lana, build their contendership for the eventual match. But again, like it was a nothing match. So let's move on to SmackDown now.
so SmackDown was a decent show here. What
Yeah,
did you think about SmackDown?
I feel, it's so weird that Raw and SmackDown are booked by the same creative team. And there is like a huge difference in quality for what both shows do. And for how decent Raw was, SmackDown was like two times better than that.
So they kicked off with Roman Reigns, and what was I going to say? So the plan was to do a tag match at Fastlane. Agent Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns and Jey Uso. But due to Daniel Bryan wanting a fair Universal title shot, they somewhat changed the plans for the moment. So we got Daniel Bryan and Jey Uso in a main event match. So
Main
this
event
ended
Jey
in
Uso.
a Yes, this ended in a double countout. So stipulation was if Daniel Bryan would have won, then he would have got the Universal title match at Fastlane. So double countout here, nobody wins. So we see a post-match beatdown on Bryan by both Reigns and Uso, and that was it. I think doing a tag match at Fastlane is a better choice than doing Bryan versus Reigns at Fastlane because it would be a pointless match. We know Reigns was going to, defend anyways. We can have Bryan versus Reigns, after Mania. So it is a better choice that you can save that match for later down the line. We can get through this tag team match. This could be, you know, somewhat to build Edge versus Reigns for Mania. So what do you think about this entire situation?
This I wouldn't have been against Bryan versus Roman as a match, but again, like you said, it's a foregone conclusion that Reigns would win. The It would have been better off to have a tag match to help further build the WrestleMania story instead of going for a short-term goal. But this match, like the whole promo, like the whole thing actually with Roman, Uso, and Bryan, the match was fine. It was a good TV match, but the promo that Roman cut initially, like he was condescending for a good reason. Of course, he's the heel, and heels that that are usually right do make the best heels. Isn't that correct? But I didn't understand one thing. Why, if Roman was asking for Edge to, pick me, please, and now he's like, please back off. Why is this? Why did you ask for it in the first place? If you're looking from a kayfabe angle.
At the end of the day, he is a heel.
Yes,
So he was being a little cocky from in the beginning, and now he's hesitating. That's a typical heel thing to do.
yes. I would say the same thing as well. But again, this whole thing, like you said, it's good. Like we all know, Roman Reigns will win it. So yeah, it would be better if they do a tag match instead, like Bryan and Edge versus the Uso. Like Roman is also an Uso technically because Uso means brother in Samoan. So in that case, it would be a better match than having to see a main event, having to see a Universal Championship match, which will be a great match by itself.
So I actually originally wanted Bryan versus Reigns at Mania, but sadly they went the opposite route. They gave the Rumble to Edge, and they booked the Elimination Chamber match also a little weirdly. We are in this situation now.
Yeah, I was also hoping for Daniel Bryan to win the Royal Rumble and going on to face Roman Reigns because it seems like if the rumors are correct, this is his last run as a full-time performer.
That's being said for a couple of years now.
That's true. But anyway, like let's see how the story folds out because like last time when the whole Adam Pearce versus Roman Reigns match happened, everybody started moaning until the story actually played like how it was supposed to. But what are your thoughts on heel Roman Reigns? Like since his return, how has he like whatever he's done?
In simple words, this is the best work of Roman Reigns' career,
Absolutely.
and I wouldn't say he's great, but he's up there.
He's getting there slowly, like he's done exceptionally well up to this point, and he's also like trying to make his name as a top heel, maybe of all time, like in retrospect if you look back at it. But he's done great for himself as well as his his opponents. So if when he faced Jey Uso initially, it showed how good Jey Uso is as a singles guy. Then now, as after that, as Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens' babyface run, like it wasn't very well received, but after this, Roman Reigns feud has really galvanized Kevin Owens' babyface run. So it's doing its job really well to gain heat on him as well as elevating other talent.
So we have Apollo Crews versus Shinsuke Nakamura next, I believe. Anyways, so we have Apollo Crews. So he has new ring gear. He also has a shawl on. So they are openly acknowledging that he is Nigerian. Feel like this is a great presentation for Apollo, and I think he finally has an identity now after all these years.
Yes, yes, hell yes. Like, initially when he got called up to the main roster, everybody was like, why is he even here? Like he used to just smile and do flips. But after all these years, like you said, he finally has a character. Even though, it comes at the expense of something that it's like a tried, tested, and a very old trope in wrestling, like a foreign heel. And they've done that multiple times. But for Apollo, in a way, it works because it has, like we said, that he finally has a character now. And now he's also started to speak in an accent.
Yeah, that's the Nigerian accent.
Yes, and again, it's like you said, it's a very it's a very old formula in wrestling, but if it helps him stand out, then there is no issue. And so far, whatever they've done well with him.
So let's talk about this match here. Cruz would beat Nakamura. First off, I didn't get why they booked this match yet again, but finally Cruz beat Nakamura with some cheap tactics. But I still would have put Nakamura out of this situation, you know,
Yes.
booked someone else. So, anyways, Cruz is in a big feud with Biggie, and the way Apollo is being presented. So, do you think they will put the title Intercontinental Championship on Cruz, or should it stay with Biggie?
They're building both of these talents up in some form or fashion, because Biggie has his whole, as a baby face. They even put out a documentary about him, which was nice. And Cruz, like, he's got this new, revamp, and something he desperately needed as a character. So it can go either ways, but maybe if they really want to solidify Cruz's, this whole heritage gimmick, it would make sense if they put on Cruz. But if they are building Biggie to, like, as a solo babyface act, they would maybe, extend his title reign maybe another 2 months and then maybe put it on Cruz. It can go either way, but I'm interested to see where this goes. But apart from that, like Shinsuke Nakamura, you know, since the whole babyface turn he had heading into Royal Rumble, from there to now, it's a massive step down for him. As it was supposed to be like Cesaro, like they were supposed to interchange their roles. Like Cesaro was supposed to be the elevating guy, and Naka, no, yeah, wait,
Yeah, but
sorry.
yeah, like I said, that was supposed. I think that was going to be that original thing, make a heel Cesaro versus babyface Nakamura, but it looks like they did both Cesaro and Nakamura got singles pushes for a while. Cesaro's building up some momentum. I think he will be doing better things, but
Yes, we'll get to that all.
yeah, but they should do the same thing with Nakamura also. Like I said, they should have kept him out of this situation, and uh, yeah, that's the same. That's the thing I was. That's the point I was getting across. Get away Nakamura from this situation and build him up just like you're doing with Cesaro.
Yes. Who else would you have put in Nakamura's position though? There aren't any lower card baby faces to destroy to help build someone else's character.
I don't know if they wanted to, but they could have done, bought in some indie talent and jobbed out to Apollo Cruz.
Yeah, that could have worked.
But anyways, let's see where all this goes. We had Tamina versus Liv Morgan. Tamina beat Liv Morgan in quick fashion here. And the theme of Tamina and Natalia is that they have been being booked strong in this past few weeks. And I will say this about the entire women's tag team division because recently it has been looking pretty decent. And if Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez, if they win the tag team title next week, then it will be even better. What do you say?
Yes, it's going to be a lot better than what we are seeing, because I am not a fan of Shayna and Nia Jax as a tag team. But this match, I mean, Liv and Tamina, it was an okay match. Like, it was just there to, help build Tamina and Natalia. So if that works, and Tamina finished it with a black hole slam. I didn't know she was doing that move, but it's okay. Like, Uh, the women's tag division, it's looking great. It's looked the best they have in years, like ever since actually introducing the title. And the whole, women's Dusty Classic also helped in this case. But yeah, I would say it would be better if Dakota and Raquel go on to win the title because it looks infinitely a lot better than Shayna and Naya or Lana and Naomi. So that's like the best outcome of the three if you want to choose.
I will go with Raquel and Dakota because that in that way you could get that title over in NXT and seeing this Dusty Women's Classic they did, there is some kind of depth in that division. There are some
And
legit tag teams over there too.
yes, I was getting to that. Like Dakota and Raquel are a legit tag team by themselves, and it will legitimize both of them as a tandem with the title. It's going to help them a lot.
So we have Chad, Gable, and Otis. So they beat the Mysterios. So they did the same match last week, but then we see Otis turning heel in some ways, showing some aggressive side of him. So we see the same thing happen here. Otis just completely crushed, Rey Mysterio. So what do you think about this heel turn here? Because personally, first of all, they somewhat ruined Otis with the booking they had for the past 6 months or so, made him cold for a while. So logical thing to do was to turn him heel, and I think it will work. But if what of what I have seen for the last 2 weeks, what do you think about a heel Otis, Ridwan?
Heel Lotus is like it's something new to me because like we've seen him as face for all this while, and you're correct that they've ruined Otis for so long. Like they gave him the Money in the Bank briefcase and did absolutely nothing with him, which was sad. But after this, like what was the point of splitting off Heavy Machinery if you are going to put Otis in another tag team? And personally, I love Chad Gable. I think he deserves better as a single star than having him in multiple tag teams. But if this match was good for what it was. Like the main purpose of this was to build the heel turn of Otis and help Gable and Otis as a tag team. Just give them some wins, put them into contention, and it's like there. I am not very too keen on this tag team personally because I feel both of them are better off alone, especially Gable. He should be like in mid card or something, or maybe down in NXT where I feel he'll be a lot better than on the main roster. But this match was fine, like I said, but Dominic Mysterio looked really, really good in this match.
He is somewhat of a, some days he'll be better, some days he'll be like it's been a thing now with Dominic. Maybe they should send him back to NXT. Send him back to NXT. Send him to the developmental program. I think he's not that ready for the main roster or TV in general.
Yeah, he's still green. Like it's only his first year in wrestling overall. And to be thrusted into the main like on the main roster like that itself is a huge thing. But so far he's been pretty decent. But let's see, how as time goes, as the more he nurtures on in front of a TV screen, how better he will be. So I'm looking forward to that.
We had yet another tag team match. The Street Profits here beat King Corbin and Sami Zayn. And looks like they will be doing Street Profits with the Dirty Dogs at Mania. I say that's too easy. How about you know let's make Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, let's form them as a tag team, and these two can go after the tag team title. What say?
As of now, I don't know, like, given their opposite alignments, Kevin's the face and Zayn's the heel. But I am personally enjoying this whole conspiracy angle with Sami Zayn. He's been super duper entertaining in this case. But this match was good. The main story of this was to build Street Profits as again as a tag contender because they are like, we held the title for so long, why don't we get an automatic rematch clause? So that was a way to use help Street Profits in contention. It was hilarious seeing Baron Corbin and Sami Zayn in having their own issues. Like Corbin was repeatedly running into the documentary crew, and Sami Zayn was losing it. It was hilarious, and I feel Zayn should be playing a bigger role in terms of his status on the card. Maybe move him back to the IC title scene, where I feel he was again. He was a fun champion. It was fun to see him on TV every week. But yeah, like as you think they'll do it on the, like you said, Street Profits versus Dirty Dogs. They'll do it at Fastlane or they'll do it at Mania.
I think they'll skip Fastlane and they'll do it at Mania. Or
Maybe,
if,
but
or
I
if they
am not.
want, if or if what I predicted, then they can do them at Fastlane, and you can book my prediction here with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn.
I would like to see that, but at this point, I don't know how will they get to that part. But I don't really know. But I hope there's something they do with Owens and Zayn at Mania. Hopefully, they have something bigger, some big role to play heading into the show. Mania, that is.
By the way, I have to give to SmackDown that compared to Raw, they have a pretty decent tag teams.
Yes. But even most of them are like, Rude and Ziggler. They themselves are very thrown together, and I am personally not a fan of either of them. Gable and Otis are fine, but again, like I hope both of them get are better off alone. Dominic and Ray would make a good story as a tag team champions if they want to do that. And Street Profits I mean, they've been amazing since getting called up to the main roster. Apart from that, who else are there on the
I think you
SmackDown tag
named
scene?
the entire division there.
Yeah, yeah. There's no one that you could think of as a
Hey,
tag team.
you could do the Usos if Jimmy comes back.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm really enjoying main event Jey Uso. So I would be too keen, but tag team is like the rightful place where both of them will, of course, excel because they are amazing.
So we get a Seth Rollins promo segment. So he's half Messiah, half architect. So he wants us to embrace the quote unquote vision. So out comes Cesaro. So Rollins wants none of this. So Rollins says that Cesaro lacks the killer instinct. So Cesaro had heard enough. He takes Rollins for a swing, and Cesaro actually swung him so fast that Rollins' jacket came off. That was
Oh,
a
that
LOL moment.
it was hilarious, like the whole Rollins thing. Like he's coming off, and I half Messiah, half architect. Like I'm still not getting what is his thing right now. He's delusional, that's one. But like half dad Seth, half Messiah, embrace the vision, follow the lead, greater good, whatever you wanna call it. But this segment was really funny because Rollins again, like Cesaro like tries to put him on swing and he's like, don't do it, ah. And then with Rollins's voice, it was even more hilarious selling, and his jacket fell off. That was also funny. But what do you think of this feud?
I think uh, in terms of booking, I think they will be doing Cesaro versus Rollins for Fastlane, and Mania we could get Bryan versus Rollins.
Yeah, that's what I feel too, because at the Rumble, Rollins eliminated Bryan, and when he came back after Cesaro, it was Bryan who fought him off. So I feel that's the direction they are going into, but with Cesaro, maybe if you want to take Cesaro by himself, maybe I feel he should win the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania in like a ladder match or something.
If it's a multi-man situation, then I will definitely say Cesaro should win the IC title. But
You
in
can
the
do that, but there
but
are
as
a lot of, yeah, sorry,
but as a
continue.
majority, I think they will be keeping the title on Biggie.
Yeah. If they like, there are a lot of good mid-card acts on SmackDown who could, play a part in the IC title ladder match if they do it.
We,
But
we, ba-
let's see
we
how it
basically
goes.
said the same thing for the US title. You can do something like that.
Not really. Like, again, I'm not very too keen on the US as much as IC. But let's see
Mhm.
how that goes as well. Like we mentioned, Riddle is going to make a good workhorse champion, but there aren't any. I don't want to say decent mid carders, but who no one really is built to face him and take the title off him. Whereas on SmackDown, you have multiple contenders in some form or fashion who could play a role in this case.
So let's get to the final part here. It was we had Bianca Belair making her decision who she's gonna face. So they showed that it could either be Asuka or Sasha Banks. But we talked about this before we were recording. Like, why didn't they show Yoshi Rai? Like you teased with the whole Edge situation that he was going to challenge Finn Balor. Then why don't do the same thing with Yoshi Rai?
NXT, like you said earlier, like, as we were discussing, like NXT, even if it's a third brand, they're still treating it as a developmental with the call-ups and stuff. So they should have mentioned Io Shirai as well. It felt like a bit of a disservice on her, to be honest.
Speaking about the decision, so what happened in this whole segment was we also saw the involvement of who's that guy? Reginald.
Yes.
So as of now, he's been a Sasha Banks fanboy, and I discussed this on this Elimination Chamber review that we know that it was going to be Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks. So in this feud they're doing, we need a heel Sasha Banks, and to get to a heel Sasha Banks, I think Reginald will be the guy. You know, you could
Reginald,
you could do
ha,
the Reginald and Sasha Banks pairing, and that's what it has been looking like for the past few weeks.
yes, like as a servant, manservant to Sasha Banks, you mean? Yeah, that will be good. But ever since becoming the SmackDown Women's Champion, Sasha, for her cocky boss character, is pretty much a heel. She's cutting heel promos, man. I don't really buy her as a babyface, to be honest.
So that's what I said. You need some heel dynamic going into this feud because we can't do babyface versus babyface. We are friends. Let's dance for a couple of minutes here and there. We don't want that stuff because we saw the same situation 2 3 years ago with Styles and Nakamura. At least that was something different situation. But we don't want y- what should I say, babyface versus babyface dynamic. Let Sasha be a heel going till WrestleMania. Bianca can come off as a natural babyface. That's easy to book and simple.
Yes. Like, you can eventually do a babyface versus babyface, speaking in general, but it's the case with WWE. They don't know how to book main event babyfaces as much. Like, very recently, they are pretty shallow at it to book a main event babyface. But yeah, with Sasha and Bianca, it'll work because Sasha is very much a heel. Even if you call her a babyface or something, she's like the cool heel that you dislike but you want to be like her. In that case, it'll work for her. But again, Bianca, initially she also looked very heelish, but this whole Royal Rumble win has brought a lot of a natural side out of her, and it's easy to get behind her in this case. So I'm looking forward to this match. Like Bianca, she chooses Sasha Banks to be her opponent for WrestleMania. I am interested to see where this match goes because both are extremely talented performers. And the story, like you said, if they do this Reginald as Sasha's lackey and get into the match, then it will be a lot more interesting than what it is right now.
By the way, I wouldn't have mind if Bianca would choose an Asuka. That would have given Asuka some legitimacy.
Oh, yes. But the story over here is a lot more interesting. And, like given how much of a hot mess is Raw, maybe like it gave him Bianca wouldn't have wanted to touch that either.
And I forgot this during the Raw review. So they announced that Rhea Ripley is coming in. So as of now, they have Charlotte versus Asuka for WrestleMania, obviously. So they can add in Rhea Ripley into that triple threat scenario.
That will be a lot more interesting as well because Rhea, like her addition, like Raw's women's division also is really bad. It's like a mess. And having to add Rhea Ripley into that will, it's like a shot in the arm to Raw's women's division. It will look a lot better. Like, for example, I'll give you this one example. Uh, to 2017 Royal Rumble, everyone was like, how bad Raw is and how good SmackDown was. At that time, the whole SmackDown Live era, it was great. But after the, when Samoa Joe showed up to Raw, then like there was a lot more interesting. Like, it was a shot in the arm to Raw, and it made Raw a lot more watchable than what it was. So in this, it'll work the same for Raw's women division 4 years later. And I am interested to see where Rhea Ripley goes in terms of stature on the card because ever since her loss to Charlotte at WrestleMania last year, she's been spinning her wheels. Like she didn't have much to do on NXT, and it felt like she lost a lot more than what she was supposed to. Because if you look at her, it screams like a star for the future. And now on the main roster, she is going to do a lot better. But I'm interested to see where how they book her. But even though I don't really have good feelings about it in some form, but let's see.
And by the way, I will accept the triple threat scenario if Asuka goes over and you can continue Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley.
Yes, that will again. That's another story. Like you can give Rhea her win back, or maybe like have Charlotte. Okay, so this is going to be a little contradictory on my part. What if they do Charlotte versus Asuka at Fastlane? Charlotte wins, and Rhea immediately challenges her at WrestleMania, and Rhea goes on to win at WrestleMania. That will be like a complete 180 of last year, and it may work in some way for having to legitimize Rhea Ripley on the main roster.
You could expect typical WWE booking. I don't want them to go overboard with it. Save something for WrestleMania and give us the payoff there.
Yes, I
So,
would say
man,
so too.
that was the entire main roster talk for this week. Our first episode, you can say.
Yes, this was fun. A
We
lot of fun.
kind of went overboard with it, but we will get the hang of it from next week.
Yes, for sure.
So, before we leave, where can these guys find you?
Sorry.
So, before we leave, where can these guys find you?
Uh, Okay, so you can find me on Twitter at Rid_Aman, same as on Instagram as well. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
So you can find Slamhub Wrestling on Twitter at SlamHubW, Instagram at SlamHub Wrestling. And if you don't want to watch our reviews and podcast on the YouTube app, then you can catch audio versions on Anchor and Spotify as well. So this was the main roster talk, and we will see you guys next week.